So Chandra, I'd like to move on and ask you about about a very good development that happened yesterday. Of course, what was the recycling unit that Tata Motors has started, the Rewire. Could you tell us about how the Rewire would function and how many vehicles would it have the capacity for, and how much investment have you done, and further expansion plans for scrapping facilities like Rewire?
We have, we started the concept of rewire in a very different way than what you see globally. Generally, you will see the scrappage centers which are huge, centralized in any country. But, we have to always think on, first principles, when you talk about what is the specific need and context of the Indian market. Here, the scrap value is very low. And if you keep centralized units, then the logistics cost becomes very high. And therefore, the realization and what return a customer can get, for the scrap, of the vehicle that they are scrapping will be less. So therefore, we have gone for a decentralized model, which means that there will be smaller units, which will be put across the countries, which are not heavy investments. These are small investments, but completely comply with, the regulations, which is, across the world, how responsibly you have to dispose of, the content of that vehicle, how you can recycle stuff. So this whole arrangement with, say, a steel company and, some of the suppliers for rubber and many other items, all that has been worked by Tata Motors centrally. The investments are being made by channel partners or anybody who's interested in setting up such kind of facility. It would be like a 10, 12 or a 15 crore kind of an investment with a very good ROI. So I think, as the traction, builds up in terms of people coming forward, to scrap their vehicles, this kind of a format will be a very practical format. We are just starting with maybe 2-3 locations, and now we are going to then further expand across the country.
Could you give us a sense of the locations and probably how much investment would be going from Tata Motors and for the scrapping facility?
No, I could not comment on that at this stage, I would say, because that is a plan which we are forming up in terms of implementation. The locations are identified, but in different phases, which are the locations we'll finally go ahead with, completely depends on the traction in those locations and, whether we have the right entrepreneur who's coming forward to step in putting up that facility or not.
Got it. Mr. Chandra, also, what is the development at the recently acquired Ford's Sanand plant? When can we expect it to be operational, and what kind of facilities or line management that you're expecting for vehicles?
We are already in the process of finalizing what vehicles are going to be made there, but the work has already started in terms of retooling that factory to meet the requirement of the vehicles that Tata Motors has in its portfolio. We are targeting that in the next 12 to 18 months, we should start the operations of, producing, at least starting with 1 car or 2 car.
Right. Sure, sir. Sir, how's the roadmap of being a net zero debt company going, and the plans for selling stake in the EV business? There were various reports that the companies it talks to raising money via stake sale. Any comment on that, sir?
No, I don't have any comment on that. As far as net carbon zero is concerned, we have already declared that we are aiming to achieve net carbon zero by 2040. And with that kind of an, ambition, we are backward working in terms of what are the interim targets that we are going to take for ourselves. The biggest initiative to support that kind of an ambition is to accelerate the adoption of electric vehicles and increase the penetration of electric vehicles in our portfolio. So we are already pursuing that in the most serious manner and in the most expeditious manner. So that is what we are doing right now.
Well, Mr. Chandra, Tata Motors sales in January was about 6.4% up at 81,069 units. With El Nino fears coming up, do you think the rural sales would be impacted with the fears?
As I said, that electrification is a very new category, and participation of competition and more players in this space is only going to expand the market. So I think, there can be a slight, change in the sales numbers, for a few months. But eventually this market is only going to grow for all of us. So this is a new category. It is going to grow, and therefore all the players who are going to participate in this are going to see growth year after year.
Right. Mr. Chandra, earlier Blue Smart and of course now Uber for the supply of about 25,000 EVs. Is Tata Motors in literally in race to acquire all major big deals from major ride-hailing companies?
We are in discussion with many fleet operators, for different usages. Some of them will be for ride-hailing purpose. Some of them are being used for corporate fleet usage for employee transport. So we are in discussion with, more than 50 of such companies, and we already had a very strong relationship for the last 4-5 years. So we are working with all these fleet operators and basis their plan for electrification. We are helping them, go towards electric in a very smooth manner. So that's our attempt. Uber is the latest addition in the relationship that we have with various fleet operators.
Right, Mr. Chandra, also could you give us a sense of for the waiting time of vehicles for important Tata Motor vehicles and supply chain issues, if they are really persisting, or are we completely over the supply chain issues and the semiconductor shortages?
Broadly, I would say that for majority of the parts, we are pretty much secure as far as semiconductor supplies are concerned. There are one or two components where we are getting impacted, even and often. But if you just ask me a broad sense of where things are, it seems to be under much greater control than where we were, say, a year back.
Okay, right. But as far as the battery cell plant for manufacturing is concerned, Mr. Chandra, you are looking, of course, at having good supply chains in Europe as well. Where is that headed to in Spain or Britain? Any update on that?
I would not be the right person to comment on that because it is not a Tata Motors initiative. It is one of the entities within the Tata Group which is going to take that. So I would not be privy to very intricate plans that they would have.
So you had earlier mentioned when we met at the Auto Expo of a possible price hike, or probably two possible price hikes, and the first has been implemented from the 1st of February. Now that the supply chain issues are sorted, are you looking at the second price hike also, or can it be deferred?
No, so I would not like to comment at this stage. We have already taken a recent price hike across the range of our cars, and we will review this in the first quarter of next financial year.
Right. So emission norms for the April 1st are coming up. Is the company ready, and do you think the customer will have to pay a more premium for the BS6 Part 2 norms?
As of Feb, we have completely transitioned to BS6 Phase 2 as far as passenger cars are concerned. So we have already made that transition. Definitely a part of this increase is already reflecting in the price increase that we have taken in Feb. And there will be a part which will be taken in the subsequent price increase.
Right. And last question, sir. Interest rate hikes has been, from the RBI's end. Do you think sales would be impacted a little bit?
See, we'll have to just wait and watch as of now. I can't comment immediately on that.
Right, Mr. Chandra, pleasure as always to speak to you. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.